Last week was very bullish for the price of Bitcoin. I'm actually bearish right now and I'm looking for shorts on Bitcoin, but at the same time I'm looking for longs on Solana and also looking for longs on CRV. In today's video, I will share with you guys my analysis on Bitcoin, Solana and also on CRV. So let's dive into it. So what I'm looking at for Bitcoin is for Bitcoin to sweep the weekend high right over here. When it sweeps this weekend high, it's gonna run into very important supply that the price has put in right over here around 2 weeks ago. Now, with this supply, there's something interesting going on. Because what we can see is that the supply was being formed while it was sweeping a lot of buy-side liquidity right over here. While sweeping that buy-side liquidity, the price of Bitcoin put in a major wick towards the upside right over here on a 1 hourly time frame. Now we know that this wick tends to get filled for at least 50%. So this 50% wick fill level is quite interesting to me as well. What I'm expecting is for Bitcoin to start mitigating this supply once it takes out the weekend liquidity right over here. And when it does, we know that we have a major draw on liquidity resting towards the downside. Now, how do I know that? I know that because of the fact that over here, we have this low that we put in on Saturday. So we put in this low, and after we put in this low, we put in this push towards the upside. The push towards the upside was creating a fake break of structure over here. That means that there's a lot of weekend liquidity resting over here as well. Now you know that sooner or later we are always going to take out both sides of the weekend liquidity. So what I'm looking at is for Bitcoin to get a push into that supply, reject into that supply, and then get a push towards the downside to take out this weekend liquidity over here around $83,000 for Bitcoin. Now, another reason why I'm bearish on the price of Bitcoin and expecting at least some more temporary downside is due to the weekly candle that is currently forming. We can see that the current weekly candle has no wick to the downside whatsoever, and we can see that basically all green candles are putting in wicks to the downside first before getting bullish expansion towards the upside, just like we saw last week as well. First putting in that wick to the downside and then expanding towards the upside. So this flat weekly candle is another draw on liquidity for the price of Bitcoin, and we know that we always want to play Bitcoin from liquidity towards liquidity. So if we're going to take out that weekend liquidity first and mitigate that supply and potentially this week as well, I will be looking for shorts over here for Bitcoin, targeting that weekend liquidity and that flat weekly candle towards the downside. Now, after we are taking out that liquidity, then I will be looking for major swing longs over here, anywhere in between $82,000 and $79,000 for the price of Bitcoin. I'm not going to set any limit orders here, guys. I'm going to wait for price action to give me clean confirmation for a potential reversal, and only then I will be engaging with swing longs on Bitcoin. Next up is Solana. I think this is one of the cleanest charts out there. Look at how the range low was being formed. Resistance over here, then we had another time resistance, and then that resistance was turning into major support so many times for the price of Solana, putting in a major high time frame range low area. The trading world moves fast. Make sure not to get left behind. Subscribe, smash that like button and follow us on all platforms. We also have a beautiful high time frame range high area with resistance once, resistance twice, and then over here it was acting as support once and acting as support twice before acting as major resistance over here before we saw that major drop off to the downside towards that range low area. Now I am looking for swing longs, and I'm actually already positioned swing long with a little bit of margin on the price of Solana. Because what we can see is that we swept that range low liquidity once over here. Then price got a nice push towards the upside on Solana, and after getting that push towards the upside, we saw another push towards the downside, taking out that liquidity that we have been engineering beneath that low right over here. Now currently we can see that that first smaller deviation was being followed up by a second bigger deviation that is currently potentially being confirmed on the price of Solana. So we start looking at a 4 hourly time frame to potentially look for a swing long trigger. And that is exactly what we got, because what we can see over here is that the price of Solana was slow grinding towards the upside. While it was slow grinding towards the upside, we know that it is engineering a lot of liquidity over here, and also it was engineering a lot of liquidity over here. Now, what we can see is that the price of Solana made an aggressive push over here in towards that liquidity pool, and because this low swept all of that liquidity that was building up beneath these equal lows right over here, this low carries a lot of significance. Now that low once again brought us to this lower high. Before that lower high brought us to this lower low, which means that this lower high carries a lot of significance as well, but it carries extra significance because of this low sweeping all of that sell side liquidity right over here on the price of Solana, which means that right now we are looking at a break of structure over here, but we are not only looking at a valid break of structure, we are looking at a high probability break of structure over here for the price of Solana in confluence with a reclaim of that pivotal range low area, which means that according to my system, I found myself a swing long trigger and I've been looking for long executions over here already. I actually entered exactly up on this wick. I have my stop loss beneath the low over here and I'm targeting the range high liquidity pool as my first target, but eventually guys, obviously this is already quite a nice target. Eventually I'm targeting this major wick to be filled on the daily time frame, because we know that those major wicks, they always get filled for 50%. Now, if you don't know why these wicks are a major draw on liquidity, I've made a YouTube video on this strategy on my channel, and I will leave a link to that video in the description down below. So we have the first target around that range high liquidity pool and a second target around that 50% wick fill level right over there for a beautiful RR of approximately 5 for Solana. Now, if you get a bit of an intermediate dip on Solana, it can still dip beneath that range low level. Then I will be looking to add some more margin and DCA into this swing up on a sweep right over here with my invalidation beneath that low, targeting higher levels. Another video, and as you guys know, that means another giveaway. Once again guys, I'm giving away a free membership to what I think is the most authentic but also the best trading community in the space, Tribe Capital. This time I'm giving away a 1-month free membership to one of you guys. In order to participate, all that you guys need to do is comment the word down below Bitcoin, and I will reveal the winner to this giveaway in 2 days from now on both my Twitter account, you can find the link in the description down below as well, but also as always through a YouTube community post. Next up, another beauty of a range on CRV. We can see range pivot number 1, range pivot number 2, and a range pivot number 3 over here to form that range high. And also for the range low guys, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beautiful pivots to establish a high time frame, high probability range high for CRV. Now currently CRV is consolidating around that range high. So either we can look for a deviation, but I'm actually looking for a potential range breakout model right over here for the price of CRV. Now when we zoom into the 1 hourly time frame, we can see that there's some interesting things going on that are potentially looking like a potential breakout. Because what we can see is that the price of CRV made an aggressive push over here above this high, right? We can identify that by the major wick over here. Now that means that this aggressive push over here was putting in a fake break of structure over here. Therefore, we were engineering a lot of liquidity over here. That liquidity got swept right over here. Then we formed a lower high over here, and that lower high was sweeping some liquidity over here. Therefore, a lot of liquidity was engineered over here. Now, because this low over here, once again, just like on Solana, that brought us to this lower high, swept into this liquidity pool. This low carries a lot of significance, and therefore this lower high that then brought us to this lower low carries more significance as well. Also, that high was sweeping liquidity over here before it brought us to that lower low. So if the price of CRV can get a strong reclaim of this high right over here and can confirm the break of structure on the 1 hourly time frame, then I will be looking for a potential range breakout model on CRV. I will be looking to enter longs with my stop loss beneath this local invalidation over here, up on the break of structure, and then I will be targeting that high time frame draw on liquidity on CRV that is resting upon this drop off right over here, and that offers me a beautiful RR of approximately 2.5. Short on Bitcoin, looking for longs on CRV, and also looking for longs on Solana. But before you guys leave me, I want to ask you for a favor. I would honestly love it if you guys would like to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and then I'll catch you guys on the next one.